without further ado, let's actually start this thing. So here I am. My name is Scott Morrison, as I mentioned, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer and actually the Chief Architect as well here at Layer 7. I actually go back to the very beginnings of the company. I was employee 1 back when we started, something like 7 years ago or so, which I guess in Silicon Valley years is probably about 49. So I've got a few more gray hairs than when I started. I did a lot of work over the years in the whole area of things like web services security and SOA security. And the thing that excites me today is actually the cloud, and in particular, what happens if SOA begins to move out into the cloud. I've got a paper coming up in a new book, actually a compilation to be published by Springer sometime in the spring, I believe, coincidentally, called Cloud Computing, Principles, Systems, and Applications. And hopefully, sometime the next day or two, we'll actually see the fruits of the labors of an awful lot of people in the cloud community, which is a new version of the Cloud Security Alliance's guidance. And I think keep your eyes open for that if you're interested in the cloud space, and because I think it's going to actually make some interesting statements that I think will have wide-ranging impact throughout the entire industry. Now, that said, that isn't exactly what I'm going to talk about here. Cloud is an area of interest. Cloud is a great deployment model for SOA. But really what I want to talk about here is what happens as SOA grows. What happens when SOA becomes, successful? You start to get a lot of services out there, a lot of applications, and you want to have some level of management across those, both within your regular on-premise IT, but also to branch offices, and also out to the cloud if that's where you end up going. That's really the topic of today. Is a new piece of technology that we call the SecureSpan Enterprise Service Manager, which really gives you that global view, that kind of big management approach to services wherever they reside in your application network. Again, on-premise, in the cloud, right next door, it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do in this talk, in the time that we've got left actually, is talk a little about the SecureSpan gateways in the beginning. That's really our flagship product here at Layer 7. That's what we've been building for, 7 years. and Enterprise Service Manager is all about how to manage those effectively when you start to get quite a few of them in a network. I want to talk about why this level of management is needed and what's unique about it. Why is it different than, the conventional management that you've got in your regular networks right now? What I'm going to propose is not to obviously replace any of that stuff, but to augment it with something that's very specialized, which gives you a much richer view, a much more detailed view into the very specific problems of SOA and the application network. Because I think that's a very, very important point that's very often lost, is that there is a specialization here happening. And I think we have to acknowledge it, embrace it, and actually use it as an opportunity to get unprecedented visibility into the entire application network. So, with that, let's talk a little about SecureSpan and really, what this thing that I'm talking about is really about. So, going back to the beginning of Layer 7, we began as a company that made, simple XML firewalls, basically devices that knew how to delve into messages at the application layer. So we understood protocols. We understood how to parse up XML very, very effectively. And we understood how to, understand the context of that message, identify that message, and apply a policy customized for that message. So in other words, the policy that you would apply to something like the get stock quote service would be different than the policy you'd apply to buy stock. Think about it. Policy is a way of articulating all the aspects of security, monitoring, governance, SLA, all of those components together in a very cohesive whole, literally in a language that actually allows you to declare what it is you want to do to that message as it goes in. So take something like get stock quote. You probably don't want any real security on it. You don't necessarily want to encrypt the message. You don't necessarily have to have integrity across the message. It's lower value information that you don't want to actually expend a lot of resources trying to secure. It's exactly the kind of information you get from, going to Yahoo Finance or something like that. But in contrast, look at a different service. Look at buy stock or sell stock, depending on what your motivation is at that moment. The big thing about those two is that they have much higher security needs and thus much more complex ramifications on what policy is. So think about buy stock. I definitely want to know, if I'm an application, who's sending me that order. I need to know whether it's Scott, whether it's Paul, whether it's Dimitri, who it is. So I need some kind of way of determining, the sender, what their identity is, and validating that locally. I need some kind of integrity on that message because I don't want now the bad hacker who's sitting out there on the internet to intercept that message, change my buy layer 7 stock into a sell layer 7 stock message. That just obviously wouldn't do. I probably also need confidentiality because if I'm somebody like Warren Buffett or somebody like that who a lot of people would track, I want to protect my own interests. I don't want people knowing exactly what I'm buying and selling on any particular day. So you can see there's a big difference here. There's a difference between the characteristics of the buy stock service and the characteristics of just getting a stock quote. And those characteristics, those security basics really, are all articulated through policy. And what Layer 7 does, fundamentally what we build are policy enforcement points, these secure span gateways that sit in front of your services and apply those policies. The neat thing about this is, the idea is that you can tease out all of these parts of policy and apply them in a very, very performant manner on a hardware-based device that sits in front of possibly a lot of different services. It's a really powerful kind of paradigm for this kind of messaging. And it's exactly what we've been advocating for many years here at Layer 7. And we've got a wide range of customers, everybody from public sector, from government, military, to hospitals, to insurance companies, to banks, to all sorts of organizations like that. They've found the benefits of this kind of policy enforcement, these kinds of secure span gateways in their networks. So let's actually look a little more at the kind of patterns that we start to see as people deploy devices like Secure Span. Well, the first thing they actually ask for is redundancy. Obviously you don't want a single point of failure, so they put in a second gateway, for failover purposes, but also for scalability. Because one of the things we built into Secure Span from the very, very beginning was the idea of true clustering. I come from a background of building very high-performance e-business applications, and in particular in the areas of finance, banking, and travel and transportation. I did a lot of work in airline reservation systems and things like that in a previous life. And so what I learned from that was the best way you can possibly do any kind of scaling is to break it up horizontally. Create new instances on, ideally fairly inexpensive hardware of your application, or in this case, of your gateway, and make sure that those can coordinate amongst each other so you don't end up creating this huge burden of management and configuration. So in other words, I treat a cluster of 3 gateways just the same way I would treat a single device, a single gateway. Things like policies are automatically replicated between every one of those devices. The gateways can also actually coordinate to defeat certain kinds of attacks, like replay attacks and things like that, which are actually a real, threat potentially in the web services world. So scalability and reliability is one of the things that's built into the foundation of Secure Span. And so very typically, people go from a model like this, where they've got a sender of information down there in the lower left, sending a message up to a service, which is that device up in the upper right, and it's being mediated by Secure Span gateway clusters. So in other words, every message is identified by those clusters, policies are retrieved, policies are executed on those clusters. The policy may do authentication, authorization, it may decrypt the message, it may validate signatures, it may enforce SLAs, it may monitor that particular service and aggregate information about it. It may keep information for a long term so that you can get an idea of historical use of the stock quote service and everything like that. In other words, everything that you could need to know or enforce on those kinds of transactions. So all of a sudden, your actual service can just focus on being a service. It doesn't have to have all this extra instrumentation in it. It doesn't have to have all of this extra difficult to configure security and monitoring in that. You've got a true decoupling of those things. And you can do them all centrally, consistently on those Secure Span gateways. So this is what we've had for years. This is actually really our flagship product. It's very effective as you deploy these kinds of clusters. And where it ends up is very, very typically at the edge of the network. The first place that people get interested in devices like this is in the DMZ. So basically mediating access to back-end services for not only their own employees, who might be out running applications from laptops and that while they're out on the road, but also business partners, also people who, might be trading partners, people that might be in different consortiums and things like that. So in other words, Secure Span is the border guard. It's the one that decides whether or not those external parties are actually allowed to get into the financial app system, or the HR system, or the core SAP system, any one of these. Because remember, the thing that we're trying to solve here, the problem that SOA is trying to solve, is a new architectural approach that actually allows us to integrate these kinds of systems. I would argue that a lot of the benefit really of SOA is really about integration. It's a better approach to trying to integrate information, encapsulate information from all of these different systems, which we've built over many, many years, which have different architectures, different approaches to data, different hosts they run on, and coming up with a very consistent approach to actually bringing these together and aggregating them into brand new applications, and also making them available, to outside service consumers. So this is the first place we tend to end up, a cluster of Secure Span gateways in a DMZ. And again, because we have true clustering, and it's something that's unique to the industry, nobody else has that in the XML security space. It's a layer 7 thing. Those devices are very, very easy to manage on an individual level. But here's what happens next. Next, what happens is people will say, this is a great idea. I should do this not just in my DMZ, but actually throughout my network. I should be protecting my actual internal financial application, for instance, from the insider threat, which is a very, very real problem. And I should actually be doing a more sophisticated security model where rather than building a castle wall, in other words, rather than building firewalls and trying to protect myself from the outside world, I actually employ a model called defense in depth, which actually creates zones of trust all throughout my organization. And the idea behind that is if any single zone of trust is compromised, like let's say that BI app down there on the corner is somehow attacked by, let's say, a hostile insider, or maybe even a very creative system cracker that managed to get in past, different levels of firewalls, the threat is contained because you've got zones of trust. So in other words, that BI app can really only have a limited sort of scope of attack from which it can launch new attacks. It can't necessarily get into that SAP app or that financial app, simply because we've got these Secure Span gateway devices sitting in front of them. They're enforcing the rules to get into each one of those, and really only trusting people according to what they can provide in terms of real credentials that matter on the network right there, right then, right at that moment.